Hey everyone, Nick from Accounting Add-ons here. And in this video we'll showcase the new consolidation functionality we've just recently added to OdataLink. A consolidation allows you to pull all the data from all your data files as a single OData feed. In the past, in order to consolidate data files, you actually had to set up multiple OData feeds, for instance pulling your chart of accounts for all your different data files, and then you have to set up a Power Query to append all these chart of accounts together. With the consolidation endpoint, it actually does it all for you, and it's so much more powerful. So in this video, I'll showcase how to create a very simple balance sheet report using the accounts table from MYOB, but the same technique can be used for Xero as well. So let's get into it. Now the first step to use consolidation is to actually enable it. To do that, we can go to our models. I'll choose my sample model, and we can edit the model and turn consolidation allowed beta tick box on and click save. Now that will allow and activate the consolidation functionality. Now the reason it needs to be allowed individually is we didn't want somebody to get access to the consolidation URL and start being able to download every DataFiles endpoint. Especially if you're an accountant creating different models for your different clients, you might have a single model to manage everything. You wouldn't want the consolidation endpoint to get out. So the first thing is, it needs to be enabled. Now the consolidation OData feed will appear as a normal OData feed. If we go to the OData feeds page, under the sample model, you can actually see the consolidation OData feed. And you can copy it and use it just like all your other OData feeds. I can go to Power BI, go get data from OData feed, paste my URL and click OK. And then I can choose the exact same way the endpoints that I want. I'll wait for it to load, I'll choose accounts, and I'll click transform. One of the changes we've made to the OData feed and all the different endpoints is in order to make sense of the chart of account and the source of the data, we've added a data files column. Now that column can be expanded and you can include the data file ID, the data file name, and the data file code. We'll include all three, we'll remove the use original column, and I'll click OK. And you can actually see all three columns. Now if I click close and apply, Power BI will contact OdataLink and start downloading the chart of accounts, but not just for the one data file, it'll actually do all the data files one after the other. Now this functionality also works with filters, so that if you actually filter your chart of account, those same filters get applied to every data file that's being consolidated. Once the data has been downloaded, we can then create a very simple pivot table where we'll actually include the display ID, which is the account number, the account name. We'll include the current balance, and we'll actually grab the data file name as the columns across, and we can expand that. And you can actually see that it's actually downloaded the chart of accounts for our MYOB AU sandbox demo and New Zealand sandbox demo, and it's consolidated all in together. Now, of course, you still have to be mindful of how you use those numbers. For instance, at the moment, we're actually adding up Australian dollars with New Zealand dollars, so that shouldn't actually be done. But in terms of downloading the data, the consolidation OData feeds are so much more powerful. Now, with consolidation, we've also added a new endpoint called DataFiles. So if I actually go to OData feeds and paste my URL again, you'll notice in the list there's going to be a new DataFiles endpoint that can be used. And that provides the list of the data files. It's a simple table that has the data file ID, the data file name, and the data file code. Now the reason we've included that is for those who wants to set up a relationship between the different endpoints and tables, you can actually download the list of data files using that endpoint. Now that endpoint won't be available automatically, it needs to be added in, just the same as all the other endpoints. And to do that, we can return to the OData feeds page, go back to our model, And under managing endpoints, we've got to make sure that the DataFiles endpoint is selected. If it's not, then that DataFiles endpoint will not be available. The DataFiles feed will still be available on all the endpoints, but the actual table that provides a short list of all your data files will not. So make sure that you add that in if you want to set up relationships. Now, another change we've made to the logging mechanism with regards to consolidation, but also applies to any other call even for single data files, is we've enhanced the logs. If I go to the OData Feeds page, find my consolidation data file and click the logs, you'll actually see that all the calls that were taking place and how they got listed. But we've added this ID column that allows us to drill down to the actual calls. So the first thing we've also done is we've grouped all the calls that are related to download the chart of accounts together. So if I click on the ID 37754, you'll actually see it took place over 5 separate calls that we received from Power BI. And each call can be further drilled down to actually see the request that was sent either to MYOB or Xero and how long it took. Now, if I drill back up, you can actually see that with the consolidation, the first call was the consolidation accounts. And then after that, it called the MYOB New Zealand and MYOB Australia data files. Now, that's it when it comes to the consolidation functionality. I hope you found this interesting, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.